No, it's streaming right there.
Am I on?
It says upcoming.
On your phone?
Yeah.
Can you hear me on there?
It's live, man.
Can you hear me?
It is live now.
See if you can hear the volume. Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. Dollar volume is, but it's close enough. That's what I use. And so, you know, something like that. All right, folks. Well, haven't been on here in a while. Cool. Let me go ahead and post this. Hold a second. Dollar volume is, but it's close enough. That's what I use. And so, you know, anyways, something like that. Good to have you guys on, everyone. I am live, folks. Well, haven't been on here in a while. Cool. Let me go ahead and post this. Hold a second. Dollar volume is, but it's close enough. That's what I use. And so, you know, anyways, something like that. Good to have you guys on, everyone. I am live, folks. Well, haven't been on here in a while. Cool. Let me go ahead and post this. Hold a second. Dollar volume is, but it's close enough. That's what I use. And so, you know, anyways, something like that. Good to have you guys on, everyone. See on your phone if it's like I am live. Too loud. It's I think it's like repeating itself.
I think you're overlapping another video.
Actually?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's another video going in the background.
No, there isn't.
Open up all your windows, and
they are.
That's it.
Yeah. Should I close out of it?
No, maybe
restart.
No, maybe before there's a echo. I think it's fine now.
Yeah, should I close that out?
No, maybe. It's fine.
Okay. Are we? Hey everyone, good to be on. Good to be back. Let me go ahead and post my. Just sorry about that. Can you guys hear me clearly? I'm just trying to make sure. I'm a little rusty at all this. Let's see here. I'm live. See if I can go like this. Man, I used to do this every single day. What was the runners today? ETX. XHLD went to 203. Excuse me. Let's see here.
Have phone charger in here?
Yeah, I'm using it. Did your phone die?
Not one.
That's alright, you'll be fine. No, I'm just kidding here. Hold on. All right, folks. Perfect. We're going to go live here in a moment. Live. Good to be on. Good to be in. Just going to go over the 2024 recap. gonna go live on Instagram here. All right. Cool. We're going live. Oh, here's my phone charger.
Oh, I was just trying to grab one.
We're a little disorganized. Has it been that long? Oh man, this thing. 2 years, huh? That's been a while. Been a while. Anyways, good to be on, good to be in. What's going on, Gary? Been a sec. We're just basically going on to cover the 2024 recap. I know we're a little late on it, but we're gonna kind of go over it right now. Kind of the things that we saw. What's going on, Victor? What's going on, D? What's going on, Brock? What's going on, Gary, Tyler? Jordan and I. Jordan is in the building. Say hello to the folks.
I'm in the corner.
And so, yeah. So 2024, I had a couple of big trades, but other than that, it was pretty flat. In the trading world, I'm still on the screens every single day for the most part. I just trade a little bit less size, and I take my long term a little bit more serious at this point in my career. And yeah, so that's pretty much kind of where I'm at. George, do you want to add anything to kind of start the 2024 recap?
2024 was the second best year for me. Overall, I would say I wish I had those stats that I could post, but
aren't they on the trading floor?
actually, yeah. It's on the trading floor.
Yeah.
But
right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2024 was way more active when it
Oh, I
comes
don't
to.
have my. Hold on, I don't have my. Can you get now? The camera's on, I think. Sorry about that.
But 2024 was a lot more active with the amount of runners we had. 2023 is pretty brutal. Like I think everyone in 22 kind of got washed out because it was so different than 21.
Yeah.
And then 2023 was honestly just like a continuation of it being slow.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had some swing traders start to gain some traction because that's when everything recovered.
Yeah.
And then this last year, I think we actually had a lot of really good opportunities, like not just from small caps, which is all I trade, but
yeah.
We had like the SMCIs. We had
the capitulation.
Well,
or the write up.
The write up.
Yeah.
SMCI. What was it? ARM. What were a couple of those other like?
The other one that MSTR, that was crazy.
Yep. Even Tesla. I think that was this year, I guess.
Yeah, Carvana.
Yeah.
It's been insane. Right
so overall, like 2024 was a pretty good year. It's pretty opportunistic, and especially towards the tail end of it, that's when things really picked up for me. Just because for whatever reason, maybe it was like election hype and maybe seasonality as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the wintertime was definitely really good. Like from October to January was really good.
Yeah.
For small caps and stuff. We had like penny runners and some multi-day names, and we had like quite a few big like 1,000% runners in that time frame. So
yeah.
But overall, it was pretty much nothing new. Like nothing really changed in my trading as a whole. Probably the biggest change was I finally just fully kind of accepted my style, which is scalping.
Yeah.
Like last year, especially in the first like 6 months, I was still trying to figure out like, should I do more accumulation style long? Should I hold for like, hour, 2 hour, 3 hours at a time? And then like, sell into like 20, 30% extensions. And at the end of the day, like, I just pretty much gave up on it because I had tried doing that a lot of 2023 and then a lot of last year. And it just, I don't know. I think everyone's different. And I just instantly, when I switched over to just focusing solely on scalping in October, that's when everything changed. Like everything definitely improved really quickly from there.
Yeah.
And then even like now, like it's pretty slow. Like I would say this is definitely the slowest we've seen in like at least 6 months, and I'm still, kind of grinding out those green days still.
Yeah, what's your stats say right now? Does it say actually the slowest it's been in like 4 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That kind of stinks. What was it like? Well, I guess it says right there, late 2024 is kind of warming up.
So I think January was not as hot as December, and then February was pretty much tied with January. So like, let's see, December was like 200. I think January was like 150, and then February was like 140.
Yeah.
And then like we're halfway through the month, and I think right now the reading is like 50. So we're on pace for only like 100.
Yeah, just so you guys know, the criteria is 20% high day, 20K trades, 40 million volume or above, and 10 cents and above.
Yeah, it's got to open above 10 cents.
Yeah.
It's in the trading floor or whatever.
Yeah, it's on the trading floor if you guys are in the room. But yeah, I mean, obviously, things have kind of slowed a little bit. There's a lot of uncertainty happening in the markets, and just kind of following all the big things going on in the markets. But small caps kind of calm down. I wish,
What's been some of the biggest changes you noticed last year in small caps? That was different than 2020 or even 2022 when you were still a little more active.
I would say some of the big things that I noticed, I feel like the bounces weren't the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it could be down.
Daily bounces or intraday?
Both.
Yeah.
Which was kind of incredible. And also there'd be some times where tickers would trade like 500 million or $1 billion, and then they would just go straight down.
Yeah.
And like...
ADTX today.
Huh?
ADTX today.
Well, that one kind of held. I mean, it's still at $10. But yeah, it did go up, and then it went from, $12 down to $9.30, and then it's kind of holding at 10 right now. But yeah, I mean, like there'd be stocks where it would go to 40 and then come down to 15 in a day, and it would have traded 500 to $1 billion easily, and hardly any bounces. Yeah. And that's my bread and butter. When things start churning over 700, 800 million and come down 30, 40% intraday, I'm usually buying that for a little bit of a strength move, because there's so many people participating in that stock that bounces are never guaranteed, but the likelihood is more likely than something that's illiquid.
Yeah.
But I'd say I felt like the likelihood of the bounces have come down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which kind of stinks.
The other thing too, it seems like a lot of those big 50, 60% tanks in one day. Even we saw that one, it was 95% in a day.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was no bounce. It was literally just a Chinese liquidation. There was zero buying pressure that came in.
Yeah, the one that went to 50 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it did bounce
scary.
From 50 cents to 70 cents, but that's nothing when you think about the big picture.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a ton of liquidity, and I actually got hit on that one. I mean, one of my rules is if the Chinese name is down 90+%, 9 times out of 10 it bounces, but the strength is so weak.
Yeah. Especially nowadays. And the other problem too is I feel like the only time that you get those big capitulations is on Chinese plays, which are way more sketchy.
Yeah. The one that I thought of recently was BKKT. That one dumped after hours and then reperked, but I don't think that's a Chinese name. It went from 564 in about 5, 6,
Yeah, but
7
how can you
minutes.
even fill that?
I mean, 30,000 shares. It's not great.
Yeah.
But it bounced all the way back up to 9. And then the next morning, 8:15 up to 9:30, and then kind of fizzled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of liquidity. And so, what's going on, Watchboard? Good to see you.
Other thing, too, that's been new, maybe you can even give context, is I had never seen so many weird pre-market swipes or after-hour swipes.
I think that has to do with a lot of the brokerages
in the
opening
past,
up.
and I don't think I've seen that many in pre-market. You'll get in 5 candles, something will go from 1 to 20.
Yeah.
And then it'll open at 2.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in my career as often in the past 6 months ever.
You'd get huge 100, 200, 300% perks.
Yeah.
As soon as 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then
just nothing. It's an algo just it just knows that it can skip up a shitload of liquidity or something.
Well, I wonder if like it's squeezing everybody out on margin.
Yeah.
And then the people are using that to their advantage, and then taking those shorts and knowing that people are getting liquidated forcefully.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's almost because it's not even day ones. Like sometimes you'll just get like random day 2 gaps that will do that.
I mean,
what was that one? There was one that like was like the Grim Reaper for everybody in like I think it was December or something. Yeah, I think it was during that hot month. But I think pre-market it went from like 10 to like 200.
Yeah.
You know, and it did it in like 10 minutes. And so I don't know what that is. That's a whole new thing that I've never seen before. I mean, I don't play obviously pre-market at all, but like I am interested as like, man, I remember the only after hours ripper that I can remember is Top. That's the most notable one that I
remember. Was that the one that went to like 900?
That was the one that,
yeah. And I shorted it at like 700.
Everybody was shorted in like the 15s, and then I think
I shorted it at like 500 or 600.
Yeah.
And then it went down a little, like to like 300, and then it just freaking flew to like 950.
Yeah.
And I think I covered broke even, luckily. But I was like, I knew I was taking a lot of risk, but I mean, and it didn't have a ton of liquidity either.
No, the spread it sometimes was like $10.
Yeah. It was.
The candles were.
It's not great being in something like that, but I'm like, I've never, like, you got to think, like, people are getting filled $1,000 a share. And like, when you're talking $1,000 a share, like, people can't
10 shares is 10.
Yeah, people can't pay up for that. And not only that, but it's up like 3, 4, 5,000. I think it was like 7,000% or something.
You pulled up. I don't know what the max percentage was on that.
I'm gonna have that. I think it's like probably. Oh yeah, there it is.
That's just crazy.
So it went from $5 to 256. I think it was a reverse split though, but it traded.
No, I don't think that's a reverse split. I think that's legit.
It was after hours.
It was after hours was the whole thing.
Yeah, and it traded 44 million shares on an average of 117 a candle. So
that's
still like $1 billion, isn't it?
That's is that 4.5 bill? 44 million times 100? So 10 would be, yeah. 4.4 billion.
Even if it's 450 million, like, that's a lot.
But to be in the billions and have that was crazy.
So then I started shorting it. I'm like, they got to pay up, $1,000 a share.
Yeah.
But
my point is like, that's the only one I can remember for 2023. But like in 2024, I feel like we've had that now like 5 or 6 times since 2024.
Yeah.
So it's like I think that's a new pattern that's like, happening. And I don't really know how you take advantage of it either, because it's a complete guessing game. Like, what are you going to do? Chase every stock that's up 100% and hope you can catch a crazy swipe? I mean,
like I said, the criteria is, no one can pay $1,000 a share. It's up insane. It's trading, let's say 450 million in a day. Because I think that was a 2-dayer.
Mm-hmm.
And, the advantage of like knowing there's a couple of big positions with margin on the, on the short side is that, you can push people out and have the stock go crazy up. And
I feel like that's like they have that data. I feel like they're
they
using
could,
that more.
Yeah. I mean, there's that reasonable. And then you're the one taking the short on while basically the blow off top, everybody's gassed out. It was all just like borrowed money.
Yeah.
And then there isn't enough liquidity anymore, and it just continues to grind down.
Yeah. I think the big thing is the less liquidity. I mean, when you have enough players in the market, like there's enough...
Things are easier.
There's enough things to kind of even out.
There's more, like...
It makes more sense.
The more emotions that you can get on both sides of a stock, the better off you are as a veteran trader.
Yeah.
And if it's trading $500 million to $1 billion, $2 billion in a day with good liquidity...
It's harder to rig.
Yeah, good range. It's harder to... Exactly. Yeah. You're not going to... You can't rig $1 billion in liquidity.
Like you can rig Tesla or something.
Unless you're a whale.
Yeah.
Like an absolute... Like a fund.
Yeah. But I feel like the daily stuff that I trade, the other pattern we can talk about how small caps have changed for 2024.
What's some other good stocks, guys? What's some other good stocks? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That have range.
The TikTok brains. The TikTok scalps.
And that was something that I brought up a lot. Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing I noticed the difference is like, now we're getting a new generation of people where, they have such short time frames in their mind thanks to TikTok and how everything's 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Everybody wants gratitude instantly in this day and age, this upcoming generation. I'm 30 years old now. I'm what you call old. And, the 20-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, the, 25-year-olds, the up-and-coming retail, which some of them don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm going to say most of them. They see people make money and they just start chasing anything and everything. They do what I call the TikTok candles, where it's like up, down, up, down, like minute, 2 minute, 3 minute.
HLB, whatever that ticker was.
I mean, that one actually held decently.
It held decently, but it was very wiki back and forth.
Yeah, until the very end of the day. So yeah, I mean, in the morning,
it kind of fizzles off and then just randomly.
Yeah, I mean, then you get these wicks.
Breaks up from.
So you're looking at 74 cents, and you get the wick at 120, comes back down to 90 off VWAP, straight up to 128.
Because I didn't touch it after the open. I played it at the open.
Yeah, 2 wicks, back down, another wick. Then you get, to me, that's like the end, right? Like right there.
It just fizzles off.
Yeah, like 12 o'clock, it's like, okay, it's under $1.07. Yeah. It's done for the day, breaks under support. And then, but it does bounce off VWAP straight up into the close and then continues to run after hours. So that's not insane TikTok, but that's definite TikTok somewhat. And that's one of those where if you're not trading small size or you're not getting in and out pretty quickly, you're going to get very emotionally drained. And that's why, in this day and age, it's, it traded 250 million on the day, which is a pretty good amount for a stock about $1 on average. But again, that one has less gains because it's real money coming through. Like that's real people, real opportunity, a ton of retail. And, whether you're short or long on that name, it ain't easy.
Yeah.
But it did bounce off VWAP twice. And my thing is, if it can hold over $1, there's another strength to it. And then it goes straight to $2. So, yeah.
Well, especially now, maybe that potentially is going to be a pattern to look for this year is the new bid minimum requirements.
Yeah.
The recent reverse splits and stuff. Like I don't think you can be under $1 for more than like 30 days, or else you risk getting delisted. That's why like ADTX did like 1 for 100, or like we're starting to see like 1 for 500 splits.
Well, and that could be interesting because then we can get into the reverse split mania here.
Yeah.
If ADTX goes crazy or if something else reverse split, then you get into reverse split mania, and we've been through that many times.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, but you need stocks to go thousands of percentages.
There's no themes anymore.
No, and it makes it harder. That doesn't make it impossible, but themes is just like printing money.
Yeah.
Like you follow where people are attracted, you follow where range is, you follow where liquidity is, whether it's Bitcoin craze, shipper craze, bottom bounce craze, oversold craze, what's the other one? Like AI craze, Carvana craze, Tesla craze. Like you follow where money's flowing. And if you can get crazes, you just got to be less with the timing and more with just getting in.
Pretty much.
And being comfortable. But, yeah, I mean, was there a name before ADTX? Because ADTX did trade $500 million today, so that's a decent amount.
What do you mean? Like
a reverse split name?
Oh, what's like that perpetual reverse splitter? Maybe MULN.
That one?
I don't know if that one did a recent reverse split. But I'd say, yeah, that's a one thing about now versus then is I feel like even with it being hotter towards the tail end of last year and beginning of this year, there was no theme. Like I almost feel like the theme now in like the current market is whatever is the most shorted ticker is just the one you have to focus on the most. Yeah. It's almost like you have to almost inverse your logic and focus on sort of the tickers that look the worst or maybe have like bad variables to be able to catch that just kind of first little pop out squeeze thing before it inevitably fades. Like an ADTX, right? Like ADTX in the morning was actually really nice. Like reclaimed 9 and broke the yesterday's high. Like that was actually pretty dang good setup. But after that, it like pretty much did nothing.
But I'm surprised it didn't keep coming down.
Yeah, I mean, it held decently. I mean, I hope that thing goes like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, like today, what's the only other ticker that didn't fade? It was the XHLB, and it's like, and that's the one that like, they get enough liquidity to be able to squeeze into the close or something, right? So
I mean, it's just see what happens now tomorrow.
Yeah.
FFIE was another one.
Yeah.
That one went crazy. What, a year?
That was last year?
I think so.
That was March of last year? I know I missed it. I was in Hawaii.
Yeah, and it went from like $1 to like, or no, it went from like 20 cents, I think. To
like 10 cents, like $3.
Yeah, but that was trading like $2 billion.
Yeah, it was billions a day.
I mean, that's real money. You just wonder where that's coming from.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got to be fun just squeezing, I guess.
Yeah.
But then there's buyers. I don't know. It's kind of crazy how that works out. I wish there'd be more of that, but beggars can't be choosers.
Well, I mean, like, look at, like, what was the ticker for you? Like MGI or MGT way back when?
Oh, I mean, that's the one that I blew up on.
I know, but like that
MGTI.
That was like a 6-day runner.
Yeah.
So.
And that one felt heavy liquidity, but I'm sure at the time it was like 250 million or something.
Yeah, but back then, like, it's all relative, Like 10 years from now, the norm is going to be $1 billion.
I hope.
But yeah, I don't think we're going to see 2021 as the normal liquidity, but inevitably, the liquidity and stuff like that, in markets just in general, it goes up over time.
Mm-hmm. MLGO is another good one. Went from like $1 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Cosm.
Was that last year? Or was that 23?
Went from like 3 to 23. And it's a long time ago, 22.
Oh. But yeah, so I think this year, like the focus just has to be
HKD, $30 to 2055.
Yeah, that was the one. No, that was the one that you bought the dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the goal for this year is just going to be, well, number one, it's going to be continuing to scalp. Like at the end of the day, you just kind of got to know. I went to fold them. Yeah, when to retire. No, I actually heard this good quote. It was from one of the. You ever heard of Richard Dennis?
No.
Richard Dennis is like Peter Lynch, but on steroids. He took like $1,000 and turned it like $100 million back in the 80s. You should look him. You should actually study him. But so he created this group of.
What's his name?
Richard Dennis.
Okay.
And so he created a group of traders called the Turtle Traders. And so like, he literally just wanted to
Turtle Traders.
Yeah. So he wanted to prove that like if you just trained like traders, you could turn anybody profitable.
Yeah.
Through just rules and stuff. And so back then, like one of his rules was like, like he would use like, like moving averages or whatever. But the quote from one of the guys that I heard on the interview was, markets are already really tough to pull money from, let alone pulling it the way you want to.
Yeah.
Right. So at some point, like, yeah, I know. Oh, I want to be a long-term investor in small caps. It's like, okay, that's not going to be a thing.
No.
You know what I mean?
That'd be sick though if you were able to hold something.
And just like 100x.
And you had long-term cap gains and it went 100, 200x yeah. And like randomly just pumps like HKD.
Yeah. And so I think given how the market's been, it's already more TikTok-y, and so it kind of benefits me because, I don't trade much size. Like on a 50-cent ticker, I'll take 60,000 shares, 80,000 shares, something. But so the focus this year is going to be continuing to like focus on those scalps and stuff, and really focus on the most short crowded ticker per day, because I feel like that's always where sort of those squeeze outs happen. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to play something like as like an all day consolidation or like, these, patterns that we used to play in like 21 and stuff, like they just don't fucking work. Like at the end of the day, you have to get long in some weird spots in order to catch those rips because it's just more competitive now.
Yeah.
I also think scalping is really popular. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I can tell.
If you've noticed that.
Well, the freaking TikTok stuff. There's no way you can stay in that half the time.
Yeah. like scalping and hyper scalping, like taking 100+ trades a day, like that's gotten way more popular. And so like that's why on something like an XHLB, like it'll just essentially just do these wicks back and forth for like 5 cents.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just everybody piling in and out within like 5 seconds. And then eventually you could get that move. But it also could turn into an SUNE and then all day fade and you're bagged 20%. So it's just really hard. Yeah, it's like this really hard like back and forth of knowing when to hold them and not to.
And not knowing when to fold them.
Yeah, not knowing when to fold them. But yeah, if you just bought that in like, the 52s or 53s, I mean, you would have gotten crushed into the close.
Yeah.
Thinking that, it's going to recurl and like go to 70.
That's my no-touch name.
So, SUNE?
Yeah.
But, so just focusing on the scalps, focusing on increasing the trade count, more time at the desk, and just overall just trying harder. I mean, last year was good towards the close, but a lot of like 23 especially too I was kind of like not really taking it that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have any questions for us? Comments, concerns? It's good to be back on. Maybe I'll try and do this now that I know how to get on. Because I didn't even need... I mean, I got to figure out the screen thing, but...
What are your goals for this year?
Be better about my long term. Trade consistently. Not with anything insane size.
Yeah.
And swing trading to get into a consistent groove, I would say. Nothing insane. 2025, maybe like fall or the end of 2025, I would try and start pushing size again, hopefully. But definitely in 2026. And honestly, like, another goal of mine is just to, like, be better mentally, I guess enjoy life, have the ability to be able to...
Live large.
Yeah, and enjoy. Be better about taking losses and moving on, and not letting my losses compound and the famous word, complacency.
Complacent.
I don't want to be complacent, which I've done a pretty good job at.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Just because I'm simply not taking as much size.
No.
So it's like I don't have the chance to be really complacent.
Yeah.
So if we get a big runner, that's when I'm gonna have to test myself on complacency. My old self would lock in a lot of gains with big runners and leave it at that. The complacent side is I take big gains, but then I come all the way back down with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you'll rip up, and then you'll get ripped back down, and then like the leftover will be still green, but it'll just be kind of small green.
Yeah, and it's like I just went through all that to just get complacent.
Yeah.
So.
What about options? You still gonna trade some options every now and again?
Yeah, I like options. Like I trade them a couple months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, I just haven't been. I kind of just trade options when I want to trade options. But I definitely know how to trade them. I've done it many times. I know how they pretty much work. Like, doing it for years. Overall, I think I'm net positive, especially from last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did pretty well on options. Continuing to grow that side of my ability, but not forcing anything too crazy, and just growing size small with that.
Yeah.
Options you can make a lot of money, but it's also just like small caps. Like, it's really risky. It's like small caps and big caps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like the volatility of small caps.
Yeah. But it's not easy because, time decay can really screw you up.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. Is like big stocks go up, but you also have to worry about time decay. And that's kind of weird for me. But what about you? What are your goals for 2025?
Yeah, just focusing on scalps. And I did open a swing trade account. So I would say this year, if I can turn that 40K swing account into, if I could just double it, like just make 40K.
That's a net positive.
Then that would be sort of the goal for the rest of the year.
There you go.
If I could just because that's the thing. Honestly, I'm pretty inspired by like aerial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, like scalping is definitely what I'm better at. And at the end of the day, I also think that the actual edge itself, like how much you can make for how little you can lose, I think it's the best way to trade. I don't know of any other trading style where you can, you know, make, let's say, like $500,000 in a year and only take maybe like a $15,000 drawdown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
does Ariel take small drawdowns? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
he takes small drawdowns,
yeah.
And so I just think with swing trading, it's just different, right? Like if you want to make, let's say, $500,000, I feel like you have to at least take like $100,000 drawdown.
Yeah.
And so that's something I'm not used to, but I'm starting out with that 40K account, and if I can just double that, like pretty passively, if I just do that a couple years in a row, then at that point, it becomes an opportunity cost, because if the swing trade account ever really surpasses my scalping account, then I'll know, okay, maybe I should like transition and actually focus on it a lot more.
Yeah.
And just seeing where it goes. You know, I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but I'll always have the scalping as my number one right now. And yeah, if I could just double the swing trade account, that'd be great. And yeah, just size up slowly, you know, and then work on more time at the desk.
Yeah.
That's definitely number one. I'm not really traveling much this year. I haven't. Next year, I'm traveling a lot, but this year I want to grind it out and spend more time at the desk, and then hit another like second best year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to take a while for me to beat 2021, but
yeah,
I feel like that's how it is for everyone.
Yeah, 2021 was an awesome time.
But
okay, cool. Well, that's pretty much, you know, what we wanted to come on and talk about. Do you have dollar volume criteria? I mean, I'd like to trade more liquidity than less. How do you use trading stats data to help you when you should be selling, winning, and losing trades? Well, Jordan is the king of stats. I'm more of a feel trader. Like, I definitely use stats to my advantage, but I definitely use feel quite a bit more than I would say most traders. If that makes any sense. Yeah, any other questions, guys?
As far as the stats, I would say if you are trading something intraday, if you're looking for intraday continuation, the number one variable is it has to gap less than 30% on the day. Anything that gaps more than 30% on the day, if it breaks highs after the first hour, then yes, that's a big edge. But generally speaking, anything that gaps over 30%, especially over 50%, there's about a 70 to 75% chance that it's going to put in its high in the first hour. And so essentially a good pattern that I use is I'll inverse that. So the 20 to 25% of the time that stocks gapping over, let's say 50%, break their high a day after the first hour, those typically have the best odds of extending, you know, let's say 50, 60, 70% after, you know, above where they opened at. And then the other variable is, you know, if you're trading something that's gapping up less than 30%, you really have to make sure that it's super liquid. So you have to make sure that I use a Thinkorswim script on my chart that shows me the actual dollar volume. And it's pretty basic. All it is VWAP times the current price. And as long as it's on pace for more than $40 to $50 million of liquidity, then that's good enough for me to trade it. Anything less than that, honestly, it's just too big of a risk for getting knifed or getting spreads and all that kind of junk. Mm-hmm. I actually got knifed on BTAI today because I made that mistake. So there you go.
How did you use it?
I
Green
made
Day?
Nothing. I mean, I made
Green Day.
$200.
Yeah. Green Day.
But no, I'm right on the week. I'm down like 4 on the week, but on the month, I'm still a good month.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks are good, but yeah, I would say for stats, that's really the main thing I use it for.
Awesome. Well, that's really all we had today, folks. Just wanted to come on. I need to come on here more. I know that. I gotta edit this. is.
I think the last video was our recap from last year.
That's too bad for me.
And you know what's funny? I think the last video behind that was 2022 recap. I think it's now.
I'm gonna look.
We now have 3 in a row.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this isn't the last time you hear from me for a full year. I know on Instagram, it's easier to get live on Instagram, but it's not that hard to get live on YouTube, so I just need to be better about it. Anyways, guys, appreciate you guys coming on. I'm going to try and be on more. Till next time, thanks for coming on, Jord, as always, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Hopefully it's next couple days, or at least next week. All right. Cheers, team, and go M's. 9 more days.